Hi, everyone. If I told you that I work in animation, who here thinks of this? Everybody, yes, exactly. Well, you're not wrong, and although animation is a lot more than Pixar movies and Cartoon Network, which is quite frankly something I often have a hard time explaining to some family members. You see, animation can be defined as something or someone that is full of life. I just love, is that the best description on anything, right? But animation can be so much. It can be anything from 2D to 3D to stop motion that you see here. It's basically puppets. It can be motion design. It can be frame by frame, and essentially anything that is made to move. And as much I would love to talk to you about the endless possibilities of animation in its various sorts, we are here to talk about how we can use the power of animation to elevate digital products and experiences. So, first of all, why am I talking about animation? Well, I run a production company based in Amsterdam called Kingdom of Something. We work with global brands and do quite a wide range of content. And as you can see, we take the kingdom aspect of our branding quite seriously. We like to have a lot of fun with it. But between all the sword fighting, the dragon slaying, and the beer drinking, we do occasionally get a little bit of work done. So let's have a look. I'll let the team know that you guys enjoyed it. So as you can see, we do quite a wide range of work, but again, we're here to talk about digital, not animation. Well, both, technically. As digital products become more and more accessible for people to create with products like Webflow, we got Figma, we got even Squarespace and Wix for that matter. I know they're not the same, but still, it makes web and digital platforms a lot accessible for people. Now, with that, we also see a lot of companies and people trying to create the same or similar products, which often ends up in a very similar look and feel. So how can we separate ourselves, right? How can we, if we go too different with our designs and UX, then we risk alienating users and confusing them, which is also not something that we want to do, of course. So we can actually use the power of animation to bring in a unique personality to your digital product. Here's an excellent example. So you can actually use animation to kind of guide people's feelings, right? Here we're using it, and you can actually use it to even trigger dopamine, which we're going to look at in a sec. So here we have, it's essentially a loader, but it's a character and something goes wrong. How does this usually turn out, right? We have a circle or some boring loader, and then, sorry, try again later. No explanation, very frustrating, one of the worst things that can happen. In this case, you kind of feel for the guy, right? You're like, it's okay, buddy, try again. Just because it's a character. This is the best loader of all time. I don't care what you say. I could watch this little guy run around his own head for hours. If all my loaders looked like this, I would let my apps load for infinity. Candy Crush, we all know and maybe love or hate this game. It's very popular and it's one of those big dopamine hits for people, right? And a big reason for this is the animations, right? It's the explosion. It just feels so satisfactory where all these candies just disappear. Or you feel it inside. And without the animations in this, it's basically just Tetris, right? And Tetris doesn't really feel the same. A really good example is Duolingo. They actually use both of these. They use characters to kind of cheer you on as you're working on your language courses. And then you have sparkles to show your points. Makes you feel a little bit better about your achievements. Even the fire that we just saw in the numbers makes you feel like, oh, I'm doing really, really good. It motivates users to keep going. We're going to look at Duolingo in a sec. So what does this mean? It means that we're seeing a lot more design teams implement motion design and animation as part of the design process. And even if we look at Google, they've implemented this into their material design guidelines to really show people the best use cases of UX. Because how things move allows us to guide users where we've been, where we're going, where's that window that I just closed. So it's incredibly important to consider. On top of that, we're actually seeing motion design and animation becoming an increasingly big part of the modern era brand book. Because how things move really says a lot about your brand's personality. An excellent example is Google. We all know Google. We've probably always seen this logo, and it's very bouncy, it's very cute, it's very playful, it's very approachable. Because Google is for everyone, right? Then you have the opposite. Well, maybe not opposite, but on the other side of the spectrum is Apple. They have very clean, soft, use fades, almost simpler animation because they're an exclusive, very fine, high-quality brand. And that's kind of conveyed through the way they treat their motion. So once you've set a certain feel for your motion design in the brand and how you want to be perceived by your audience, you can start playing around with certain animations. And I would suggest that you start with a loader. It's always nice to have a fun loader. We saw that with the spinning head guy. And splash screens are also a really, really good way to do this, because it really excites your users to open your website or app from the very, very first second they click, enter, or hit that app icon. We actually did this. Adidas, of course, understands this. We've been working with them for a number of years now. Absolutely an incredible team to work with. And back in 2020, they came to us because they were about to launch their Adidas Confirmed. So this is essentially an app where sneakerheads can come in and they can, they basically launch collectible shoes, and long story short. So they wanted us to create a nice splash screen to represent this app. And what the real challenge here was that this trefoil, the Adidas Originals, this legacy logo, didn't actually have an official animation. So we actually spent quite a lot of time, about 2 months, creating endless versions. This is a fraction of them. I couldn't fit as many as I wanted on the screen, but it gives you an idea. Some of these are a little bit more glitchy, some are smoother, some are a little bit more clean. And this is the final result, as you can see on the screen recording from their website. We're really happy with it, the client's really happy with it, and it even doubles as a loader. So a 2-in-1. Characters, an amazing way to bring in some life into your brand. This is a project that we worked with together with the amazingly talented people at Built in Amsterdam. They're leading in e-commerce, and they basically were rebranding and completely revamping this rolling paper brand, I think based in Amsterdam as well. So part of this, they developed the character Fly, right? We wanted to bring in some personality and a sort of a mascot into the brand. So they came to us, they said, hey, we need to bring this guy to life, and we need to make him into various products. We need to give him some sunglasses, cocktails, and different scenarios. So how this guy is going to move and behave is going to say everything we want about the brand, right? So we went through some examples. We found this classical Mickey Mouse. He's got some good, chill swag as he's walking down the street. So we start blocking it out. Okay, we're happy with that. Set to some different speeds. I think we went with one on the right-hand side there. Started animating some hand movement, how does his body rotate as, add some of that swag. How does he flick his feet? How does he turn his face? And because Fly is a cloud or a puff of smoke, we needed to bring in some organic feel to it, right? So one of our animators made it in frame by frame, which we later traced in After Effects in shape layers. So we later could export it as lotties. Here's some of the different versions that we made. And in here you can see it on the website itself. All these looping animations. We got the cocktail guy and all the characters. Really cool way an innovative way to create an online store. It is definitely one of those use cases that it is alienating some users, but you guys should go check it out. It's really, really cool work. Then, of course, we have Panda Express. Long story short, Panda Express is probably one of the world's biggest Chinese fast food restaurants. They're huge in the US, a little bit elsewhere in the world, but primarily North America. And we've been working with them for nearly, actually a little bit more than a year so far. And they came to us because they are currently about to launch their rewards program. So they showed us, and they wanted us to create a explainer video to see how the whole program works, how the point system works, and stuff like that. And they're showing us the UX, and we go, have you guys thought about implementing some animations to bring some flair? We're earning points, and we want to have some fun with it, right? We want to entice users to enjoy that experience. They agreed, and that resulted in about 5 months of work with, I think, a total of 40 or 50 animations in total. Here's some of them. Of course, the splash screen. Probably one of my favorites is the one where you pass a certain milestone. So you earn your points, and once you pass a certain milestone, that you can get a different level of products. Here in this one, you have a panda jumping into your pail of fortune cookies, and super celebratory. And there's some fortune cookies that open up and generate a fortune for you, and there's bursting cookies, et cetera, et cetera. Really good use case to see how you can bring an app to life. And of course, who would I be if I'm standing here and talking about this and we wouldn't have it on our own website? So if you go on our studio page and you're looking to want to join the team, so you're looking for a job or want to become an intern, you actually have to pull the sword out of the stone, which will then reveal the email address, and then you can apply. So fun little easy gimmick you can use to bring in a little bit Easter egg into your sites. Back at Duolingo, promised. So I believe that the big reason Duolingo is outperforming by far their competition is that use of animation that we looked at earlier. Not only that, Duolingo believes so much in the power of animation that they actually recently acquired the motion studio that they've been working with on these things, proving that they are doubling down on animation in the long run. Again, we have these characters. They're doing a really, really good job at cheering you on. This animation, you just feel really, really good about yourself for finishing that. Or you're not even finished the lessons. You're just halfway through that chapter. Now, what's especially interesting right now with Duolingo, and why I'm bringing it up as an extra good example, is that they're actually rebuilding all of these characters in a software called Rive. So what Rive does, it essentially, think of Rive being the Figma for this type of animation. So far we've kind of been stuck in a hacking way. And what really cool right now, we were stuck with linear animations. They've been code-based and vectorized, which is really, really cool. But Rive, it has this node, among many other features, it has this node-based kind of state setup where you can create different animations for different states. So you can click and it will trigger an animation. You can hover and it'll trigger something, or et cetera, et cetera. And what that allows us to do for practically the first time without excessive amounts of coding and mastery is that we can actually, a really good example is this girl on the right-hand side, or baby or old woman, depending on when. You can see that we're mid-animation, and Rive actually interprets the in-between animation for us, allowing us to really bring in some interactivity. So the people at Duolingo are taking this to a whole nother level. Not only are they rebuilding all their character assets in this way to bring them a little bit more into life, they don't have to stand still in between animations, but they're actually using this, the states. And the combination of, there's an audio engine as part of it as well. And if you've used Duolingo, you know that you can play sounds and let's say in Spanish, and then you have to translate it and write it down. What this allows us to do is that you can use different mouse shapes for different types of sounds. So if you say an O or an S, you can have that mouse shape and it will hear that in the audio file and generate that animation live. So you're now actually having the characters not only like cheering you on, but they're actually speaking to you, completely elevating the way these characters are interacting with the users. So with that, I feel very, very hopeful for the future. We're already having a lot of fun with the Lottie animations as they are, but it's kind of like we've been stuck in designing websites in Photoshop, which I'm sure many of you have done. And it works, but it's not really the best way to do it. So now that we finally have software like Rive and Spline for that matter, the future's looking really, really exciting. Now, those of you who don't know what Spline is, long story short, is essentially Figma, but for 3D. Super cool. You can collaborate online. Everything's online. And all these tools are really allowing us to create some really, really, really cool and approachable stuff for the web, for content creators like myself. But we don't have time to go into that further, but I will leave you with this. Please consider adding more animations into your websites and products. And have fun with it. Make them weird, make them quirky, make them your own. Bring some personality in there. Because the more fun you have with it, the more fun your users will have. And that's ultimately what we are doing these things for, right? Thank you. And feel free to reach out. Love to hear from you.